The alarm bells rang across the bridge of the UES Defiance as Admiral Kate Morrison stared at the massive shapes appearing on her screens. The objects were huge, each one the size of a small city, and they had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. "How many ships, Commander?" Kate asked, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. 12 confirmed, Admiral. Maybe more hiding behind the larger ones, replied Commander Sarah Lopez, her fingers dancing across the sensor controls. They're not like anything in our database. Kate nodded slowly. Humanity had always wondered when this day would come. For 50 years, they had been sending radio signals into space, hoping to find other intelligent life. Now it seemed that intelligent life had found them instead. The largest alien ship moved forward, approaching Earth's moon. It was beautiful in a strange way, with smooth silver surfaces that seemed to flow like water. But Kate knew that beauty could hide terrible weapons. "Admiral, we're getting a transmission," announced Lieutenant Tom Bradley from the communications station. "It's in perfect English." "Put it through," Kate ordered. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at something that was definitely not human. The creature had green-scaled skin, large yellow eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was calm and polite. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. I am Ambassador Vex Corian of the Zilithian Confederacy. We come in peace to offer you a wonderful opportunity." Kate felt her stomach tighten. The alien's tone reminded her of a salesman trying to sell something nobody wanted. "This is Admiral Kate Morrison of the United Earth Navy. We welcome peaceful contact, Ambassador." Corian's scaled face showed what might have been a smile. "Excellent. Your species shows promise. We would like to meet with your leaders to discuss your planet's future within our great empire." The word empire hung in the air like a threat. Kate exchanged glances with her officers. This was not starting well. "We appreciate your interest, Ambassador, but Earth is not looking to join any empire. Perhaps we could discuss trade or cultural exchange instead." The alien's expression changed slightly. His yellow eyes narrowed, and Kate could see confusion on his strange features. "I think there has been a misunderstanding, Admiral. This is not a request. The Zilithian Confederacy controls 12 star systems and 47 intelligent species. We are offering your world protection and guidance. All you need to do is accept our authority." Kate felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "And if we refuse?" "Refuse?" Corian tilted his head like a confused dog. "Why, would you refuse? We offer peace, technology, and prosperity. Your species would be safe under our protection. At what cost? Simple. You surrender control of your military forces to us. You accept our advisors to guide your government. You follow our laws and our way of life. In return, we protect you from the dangers of the galaxy." Kate looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. She saw the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. "Ambassador Corian, I need to discuss this with our leaders. How long can you give us?" "Of course, we are not unreasonable. You have 72 hours to prepare for the ceremony of submission. This should be enough time to organize your surrender." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Kate stared at the dark screen for a long moment before turning to her crew. "Get me President Grant on a secure channel, and contact Captain Luke Hayes. He's going to need to lead our diplomatic team." 2 hours later, Captain Luke Hayes was aboard a small shuttle heading toward the alien flagship. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm blue eyes. He had been chosen for this mission because he could stay cool under pressure, and because he had a way of making people trust him. With him was Dr. Amy Sullivan, Earth's top expert on alien biology, even though she had never actually met an alien before today. She was nervous but excited, her dark hair pulled back in a tight ponytail as she studied her tablet full of notes. "Remember," Luke said as their shuttle approached the massive alien ship, "we're here to learn, not to agree to anything." The alien ship was even more impressive up close. It stretched for miles in every direction, its surface covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move in the light. The shuttle bay that opened to receive them was larger than most Earth buildings. Ambassador Corian was waiting for them, along with several other aliens of different species. Luke counted at least 4 different types of beings, all wearing similar uniforms that marked them as part of the Confederacy. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Glory," Corian said, his scaled hand gesturing grandly. "You are the first humans to see the inside of a Confederacy vessel. Feel honored." As they walked through the ship's corridors, Dr. Sullivan took notes on everything she saw. The technology was advanced, but not impossibly so. The aliens used energy weapons and faster-than-light travel, but their computers and basic systems didn't seem much better than Earth's latest designs. They were led to a large meeting room where Corian took his place behind an imposing desk. The walls were covered with images of different worlds, all marked with the symbol of the Zilithian Confederacy. "These are just some of the worlds that have joined our empire," Corian explained proudly. "The Kthari were a warrior race, but they saw the wisdom of peace. The Yolani were master builders, and now they construct our greatest ships. The Fenrics were stubborn like humans, but they learned to appreciate our guidance." Luke studied the images carefully. In each one, he could see the same pattern: beautiful worlds, happy-looking alien populations, and always the Confederacy symbol prominently displayed. "What happened to the species that refused to join?" Dr. Sullivan asked quietly. Corian's expression darkened slightly. "There have been very few such cases. Most intelligent species recognize the benefits of civilization over chaos. But what happened to those few? They learned that the galaxy is a dangerous place for those without protection." The threat was clear, even though Corian's voice remained polite. Luke felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his expression neutral. "The Confederacy has been very successful," Luke said carefully, "but humanity has always valued its independence. We're not sure we're ready to give up our freedom." "Freedom?" Corian laughed, a harsh sound that sent chills down Luke's spine. "What freedom do you have now? Your species is trapped on one small world, barely able to reach your own moon. You fight among yourselves over resources and territory. We offer you the stars themselves, at the cost of our identity." "Identity is less important than survival, Captain Hayes. The galaxy contains threats you cannot imagine. Without our protection, your species will not last another century." Dr. Sullivan leaned forward. "What kind of threats? Pirates, slavers, empire builders who are not as generous as we are. Species that view humans as nothing more than food or entertainment. The galaxy is vast and full of dangers." Luke considered this for a moment. "And the Confederacy protects member species from all these threats?" "Of course, it is our duty and our honor. In exchange for complete surrender of sovereignty. In exchange for peace and prosperity," Corian corrected. "Your leaders would still govern your people, but, under our guidance, your military would still exist, but as part of our greater force. Your culture would still flourish, but improved by our wisdom." Luke and Dr. Sullivan exchanged glances. The offer sounded reasonable on the surface, but they both understood what it really meant. Earth would become a puppet state, controlled by alien masters who claimed to know what was best for humanity. "We need time to consider this offer," Luke said finally. "Of course, return to your ship. Discuss this with your leaders. But remember, Captain Hayes, this offer will not remain open forever. We have been generous with our time, but we have other worlds to visit, other species to guide into civilization." As their shuttle returned to the Defiance, Dr. Sullivan shared her observations with Luke. "Their technology is impressive but not magical. Their weapons are powerful, but so are ours. And did you notice how they talked about other species? Every one of them was described as eventually accepting Confederacy rule. Either they're very good at convincing people, or very good at making examples of those who refuse," Luke replied grimly. Back on Earth, President Lisa Grant was meeting with military leaders and government officials from around the world. The alien ultimatum had been shared with every major nation, and the response was surprisingly unified. "They want us to become their servants," said General Bob Stevens, commander of Earth's Space Forces. "Dress it up however they want. But that's what this is." The question is, can we fight them if we have to? Asked President Grant. Admiral Morrison had been studying the sensor data from the alien fleet. Their ships are big and powerful, but they're also predictable. They seem to rely on overwhelming force rather than clever tactics. That might be because they've never faced serious resistance, suggested Dr. Sullivan over the video link from the Defiance. Every species they've encountered has either joined willingly or been too weak to fight back effectively. President Grant looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. She saw determination, fear, and something else. A stubborn pride that had carried the human race through every challenge in its history. The 72-hour deadline was approaching. The alien fleet waited patiently at the edge of the solar system, confident that Earth would see reason and submit to their authority. They had never encountered a species quite like humanity before. Earth declares no galactic empire in our skies. President Lisa Grant stood before the largest gathering of world leaders in human history. The emergency session of the United Nations had been called within hours of the alien ultimatum, and every nation on Earth had sent representatives. The usual political divisions seemed small and pointless when faced with the threat of alien conquest. My fellow humans, President Grant began, her voice carrying across the silent assembly hall. Today we face a choice that will define our species for generations to come. We can kneel and accept the chains offered by these aliens, or we can stand and fight for our freedom. The French ambassador raised his hand. Madame President, their technology is clearly superior to ours. Perhaps negotiation would be wiser than confrontation. Negotiation requires two sides willing to compromise, Grant replied. Ambassador Korian made it clear that surrender is their only acceptable outcome. Russian General Anton Petrov stood up. My satellites have been tracking their fleet. 12 massive ships, weapons we cannot fully understand. If we fight, many will die. If we surrender, we all die as free beings, Grant answered firmly. We become pets in their galactic zoo. Dr. Amy Sullivan had been invited to address the assembly via video link from the UES Defiance. Her face appeared on the massive screens around the hall. Leaders of Earth, I have studied their technology closely during our visit to their ship. Yes, they are advanced, but they are not gods. Their weapons use energy patterns we can detect and potentially counter. Their ships are large but slow to maneuver. Most importantly, they think like conquerors who have never faced real resistance. The Chinese representative leaned forward. Dr. Sullivan, are you suggesting we actually have a chance of winning? Amy paused, choosing her words carefully. I am suggesting that we have a chance of making them regret attacking us. Sometimes that is enough. Admiral Kate Morrison had been coordinating with military leaders around the world for the past 24 hours. The response had surprised even her. Old enemies were sharing technology and battle plans. Competing space agencies were merging their fleets under unified command. Admiral, reported Commander Sarah Lopez, the Japanese have agreed to share their new plasma cannon designs. The Europeans are sending their entire defense fleet to join ours. Even the private space companies are volunteering their ships. Kate nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and sadness. It had taken an alien invasion to finally unite humanity, but perhaps that was what they needed to become something greater. Colonel Ben Clark was working frantically in the Earth Defense Command Center, a facility that had been built in secret over the past decade for exactly this kind of emergency. Around him, officers from every major military force on Earth worked side by side, coordinating the defense of their home world. Colonel, we have confirmation from all sectors, reported Major Sue Carter. Every defense satellite is online and ready. Ground-based laser arrays are charging to full power. The orbital platforms are armed and waiting. Ben looked at the tactical display showing Earth's defenses. It was impressive for a single world, but against 12 alien warships it might not be enough. What about the fleet? Admiral Morrison reports 43 ships ready for combat. Everything from military destroyers to converted cargo vessels with mounted weapons. The numbers were not encouraging, but Ben had learned long ago that numbers did not always determine the outcome of a battle. Sometimes courage and determination could overcome superior force. Fleet Commander Ryan Webb was aboard the UES Resilience, humanity's newest and most powerful warship. Around him, the combined Earth fleet was taking formation. Ships from different nations flew side by side, their crews working together as if they had trained for years instead of hours. "Commander, incoming transmission from the alien flagship," announced his communications officer, Lieutenant Dan Foster. "Put it through." Ambassador Corian's scaled face appeared on the screen, his yellow eyes showing what might have been surprise. "Commander, Webb, we have been monitoring your military preparations. This is unexpected. Most species use their final hours to prepare for the transition to Confederacy membership." Ryan kept his expression calm. "We are preparing, Ambassador, just not for surrender. You cannot be serious. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. Your small fleet will be destroyed in minutes." "Maybe," Ryan admitted. "But we will make those minutes count." Corian's confusion was obvious. Why would you choose destruction over prosperity? Why would you condemn your species to extinction for the sake of pride? "Because some things are more important than survival," Ryan replied. "Freedom is one of them." Dr. Amy Sullivan had been working without sleep for 36 hours, analyzing every piece of data they had collected about the alien ships. Her team of scientists and engineers had discovered something important. "Admiral Morrison, I think we have found their weakness," Amy reported over the secure channel. "Tell me." Kate replied from the bridge of the Defiance. "Their shields operate on a rotating frequency pattern. It changes every few seconds, but it follows a predictable cycle. If we can time our attacks correctly, we can hit them during the brief moments when their shields are weakest." "How brief?" 0.7 seconds every 12 seconds. Not much, but it might be enough. Kate smiled grimly. "It will have to be enough." On Earth, people were not hiding in shelters or fleeing to remote locations. Instead, they were volunteering. Military recruitment centers had lines stretching for blocks. Factories were working overtime to produce weapons and ammunition. Scientists were sharing research that had been classified for decades. President Grant received a message that touched her heart. It was from a group of children at an elementary school in Ohio. "Dear President Grant," the message read, "we know you are fighting the bad aliens. We want to help. We made you drawings of spaceships and rockets to give you good luck. Please, tell the soldiers that we believe in them." The message was signed by every child in the school, their names written in crayon and marker. Similar messages were coming from around the world. Humanity was not just united in its government and military, but in its spirit. The 48-hour mark passed. Ambassador Corian sent another transmission to Earth, this time directly to President Grant. "Madam President, we offer you one final opportunity to reconsider. Your military preparations are admirable but futile. Save your people unnecessary suffering." Grant looked directly into the camera, knowing that her words would be heard not just by the aliens but by every human on Earth and in space. "Ambassador Corian, let me be perfectly clear. Earth's skies belong to Earth. Our freedom is not for sale, not for trade, and not for surrender. If you want our world, you will have to take it from us. And I promise you, we will make that the most expensive conquest in your empire's history." Corian's expression showed genuine surprise. "You would sacrifice billions of lives for a concept?" "We would sacrifice everything for the right to be free," Grant replied firmly. "That is what makes us human." The transmission ended. Around the solar system, both human and alien forces prepared for battle. Captain Luke Hayes was now commanding a squadron of converted civilian ships, their hulls reinforced and their cargo holds filled with missiles instead of supplies. His crews were volunteers, ordinary people who had never expected to fight in a space battle. "Captain," reported his tactical officer, a former cargo pilot named Jake Morris, "alien fleet is beginning to move. They are heading toward Earth." Luke activated the ship-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Captain Hayes. In a few hours we will face an enemy that has conquered 47 worlds. They expect us to run or surrender. Instead, we are going to show them what happens when they threaten our home." He paused, looking out at the stars that humanity had dreamed of reaching for so long. "Today we go to the stars not as explorers, or diplomats, but as warriors defending our freedom. Make every shot count. Make them remember this day. Make them regret the day they decided to threaten Earth. The final hour before the ultimatum expired, President Grant made one last broadcast to the world. My fellow humans, in 60 minutes our answer will be delivered to the Zilithian Confederacy. Not in words, but in actions. We stand united as one species, one world, one voice saying no to those who would make us slaves. She looked directly into the camera, her voice strong and clear. For the first time in our history, we face a threat not from each other, but from those who would steal our future. Today we write a new chapter in human history. Today, we prove that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the odds. The deadline approached. Ambassador Corian's ship moved closer to Earth, expecting to receive humanity's surrender. Instead, he received something no Confederacy ambassador had ever received before: a declaration of war. The first shot of the war was fired by the aliens. A bright beam of energy erupted from the lead Confederacy ship, striking one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. The massive structure exploded in a ball of fire and metal, taking 300 human defenders with it. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Kate's voice rang across the communication channels. They have fired first. Return fire immediately. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. Human ships moved forward to meet the alien fleet, while defense platforms opened fire with everything they had. Missiles streaked through the darkness, followed by laser beams and plasma bolts. Captain Alex Turner commanded the UES Resilience, leading the first wave of human ships. His crew was a mix of military personnel and civilian volunteers, all united by their determination to protect their homeworld. Target the lead ship, Alex ordered. Wait for Dr. Sullivan's signal. On the bridge of the UES Defiance, Amy Sullivan was tracking the enemy shield frequencies on her scanner. The pattern was there, just as she had predicted. Now, she shouted into her communicator. 20 human ships fired at once, their weapons perfectly timed to strike during the brief moment when the alien shields were weakest. The lead Confederacy vessel shuddered under the impact, its smooth hull cracking and bleeding atmosphere into space. Ambassador Corian felt his ship shake around him. This was not supposed to happen. Human weapons were primitive, incapable of harming Confederacy vessels. Yet his flagship was damaged. Report, he demanded from his bridge crew. Hull breach on deck 12, Ambassador. Minor damage to forward. Weapons array. How is this possible? Corian stared at the tactical display showing the human fleet. The ships were small and old compared to his vessels, but they moved with a coordination that impressed him despite his anger. They are more clever than expected, he admitted. Increase power to shields. Show them the price of resistance. The alien ships responded with a massive barrage of energy weapons. 3 human vessels disappeared in explosions of light and debris. But instead of retreating, the remaining ships spread out and attacked from different angles. Colonel Ben Clark was coordinating the defense from Earth's command center. Around him, screens showed the battle raging in space while reports came in from around the solar system. Colonel, the aliens are splitting their fleet, reported Major Sue Carter. 6 ships are moving toward Earth while the others engage our main force. What about the asteroid field near Mars? Ben asked. Captain Hayes is positioned there with his squadron. He reports ready to spring the trap. Ben nodded. The plan was desperate, but it was all they had. Let the aliens think they were winning, then hit them where they did not expect it. Captain Luke Hayes waited in the shadow of a large asteroid, his small squadron of converted civilian ships hidden from alien sensors. Around him, former cargo, pilots and mining engineers gripped their weapon controls with sweaty hands. Remember, Luke said quietly over the squad channel, we only get one chance at this. Make it count. The alien ships passed by their hiding place, heading straight for Earth. Luke watched them go, counting the seconds. Attack pattern Delta, he whispered. All ships, follow my lead. His squadron burst from the asteroid field like angry hornets, their missiles and laser cannons targeting the rear of the alien formation. The Confederacy ships were caught completely off guard. One alien vessel spun out of control, its engines destroyed. Another lost its main weapon array to a lucky shot from a converted mining ship. The attack lasted only minutes, but it threw the alien advance into confusion. Admiral Morrison saw the opportunity and seized it. All ships full attack. Hit them while they are disorganized. The main human fleet charged forward, their weapons blazing. The space between Earth and its moon became a battlefield unlike anything in human history. Dr. Amy Sullivan had moved to the weapons control station, helping to coordinate the timing of attacks against the alien shields. Each successful hit brought cheers from the bridge crew, but she knew they were still outgunned. "Admiral, I have an idea," she called to Kate. "Their largest ship, the flagship, its shield generator is probably located near the center of the vessel. Can we reach it? Not with our main weapons, but if a small ship could get close enough, maybe even inside the ship itself." Kate understood immediately. That would be a suicide mission. Maybe not. Their docking bays might not be shielded from the inside. Fleet Commander Ryan Webb had been listening to their conversation. His ship was already damaged, its hull cracked, and its engines running on emergency power. "Admiral, request permission to attempt boarding action on enemy flagship." "Ryan, that's insane. So is this whole battle, but we are winning it." Kate looked at the tactical display. The human fleet was holding its own, but they were losing ships. Steadily, they needed something dramatic to turn the tide. "Permission granted, Godspeed, Commander." Ryan's ship broke away from the main battle, heading straight for the massive alien flagship. Around him, his crew prepared for what might be their final mission. "Sir, they are targeting us," reported his tactical officer. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us close to their docking bay." The UES Resilience twisted and turned through space, dodging energy beams and missile explosions. Ryan could feel his ship coming apart around him, but they were almost there. "Ramming speed," he ordered. "Sir?" "You heard me. Full power to engines." The human ship crashed through the alien docking bay doors like a bullet through paper. Emergency. Force fields snapped into place, but Ryan's crew was already running through the corridors of their ship, wearing combat armor and carrying explosive charges. On the alien bridge, Ambassador Corian felt his flagship shudder again. What was that? "A human ship has crashed into Docking Bay 7, Ambassador. There are humans aboard our vessel." Corian's yellow eyes widened. No species had ever been bold enough to board a Confederacy ship during battle. "Send security teams. Stop them." But Ryan Webb and his crew were already deep inside the alien ship, following Amy Sullivan's directions to find the shield generator. They fought past surprised alien guards, their human weapons proving effective at close range. "There!" shouted Lieutenant Dan Foster, pointing at a massive chamber filled with humming machinery. "That has to be it." Ryan placed the charges while his team held off alien reinforcements. The humans were outnumbered, but they had the advantage of desperation and surprise. "Charges set," Ryan reported over his communicator. "Tell my wife I love her." The explosion tore through the heart of the alien flagship. The massive ship's shields flickered and died, leaving it vulnerable to attack from the human fleet. Admiral Morrison did not waste the opportunity. "All ships, target the flagship. Fire everything we have." The combined firepower of the human fleet struck the unprotected alien vessel. Explosions rippled across its hull as internal systems overloaded and failed. Ambassador Corian watched his command screens go dark, one by one. This was impossible. Humans were supposed to be primitives, easy to conquer and control. "Ambassador, we are losing power. Hull breaches on multiple decks. We need to retreat." "Retreat?" The word felt strange in Corian's mouth. "The Confederacy did not retreat. Sir, we have already lost 3 ships. The humans are fighting like nothing we have ever encountered." Corian looked at the tactical display, seeing his proud fleet scattered and damaged by a force that should have been no threat at all. "Send." "The withdrawal signal," he said quietly. Across the solar system, the remaining alien ships began to pull back, their advance stopped by human determination and sacrifice. Captain Alex Turner watched from his damaged bridge as the alien fleet retreated toward the edge of the solar system. "Did we actually win?" asked his tactical officer. Alex looked at the debris field that had once been human and alien ships, thinking of the crews who would never go home. "We survived," he said. "Sometimes that is the same thing." The first battle, For Earth's freedom was over, but both sides knew this was only the beginning of a much larger war. 3 days after the battle, Ambassador Corian's damaged flagship limped back toward Earth. His once mighty fleet was reduced to 7 ships, and his reputation as an undefeated conqueror was in ruins. Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the alien ships approach under a white flag of truce. Around her, the surviving human fleet maintained defensive positions ready to fight again if necessary. "Incoming transmission from the alien flagship," reported Commander Sarah Lopez. "Put it through." Corian's scaled face appeared on the screen, but he looked different now. His yellow eyes showed something Kate had not seen before: respect. "Admiral Morrison, I request permission to speak with your leaders about terms of withdrawal." Kate smiled grimly. "You may speak with President Grant, but understand, Ambassador, we are not the same species you tried to conquer 3 days ago, President." Lisa Grant sat in the United Nations Assembly Hall, but this time she was not alone. Representatives from every nation on Earth flanked her, along with Admiral Morrison via video link from space. "Ambassador Corian," Grant began, her voice firm and clear, "you came to our world offering us slavery disguised as protection. You threatened our people and attacked our ships. Now you want to discuss terms?" Corian shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "President Grant, the Confederacy acknowledges that we may have misjudged your species. Perhaps we can reach a different arrangement, such as limited membership. You would maintain control of your home system while accepting Confederacy, guidance for expansion beyond your borders." Grant exchanged glances with her advisors. Around the world, billions of humans watched the historic negotiation on their screens. "Ambassador, let me be very clear about Earth's position," Grant said. "We seek neither your membership nor your guidance. We offer you a simple choice: leave our system peacefully or be destroyed." The alien's mouth fell open in shock. "You cannot be serious. The Confederacy controls 12 star systems. We have hundreds of ships. Then why are you here negotiating instead of conquering?" asked Admiral Morrison from the screen. Corian had no answer to that question. Captain Alex Turner was leading repair operations throughout the human fleet. The battle had cost them dearly, 15 ships destroyed and thousands of lives lost. But the survivors worked with a new sense of purpose. "Captain, we are receiving supply ships from Earth," reported his communications officer. "Also, 3 new vessels are joining the fleet." Alex looked at his tactical display. The new ships were converted civilian vessels, armed with the latest weapons and crewed by volunteers. Humanity was not just rebuilding its fleet, it was expanding it. Dr. Amy Sullivan had been working non-stop since the battle, analyzing captured alien technology and improving human weapons. Her discoveries were revolutionary. "Admiral, I have completed my analysis of the alien ship fragments," she reported to Kate over secure channel. "Their technology is actually quite standardized. Once you understand the principles, you can counter most of their weapons." "What about their faster-than-light travel?" "That is more complex but not impossible. Give me 6 months and I think we can build our own hyperspace engines." Kate felt excitement building in her chest. If humans could travel faster than light, they would no longer be trapped in their home system. Colonel Ben Clark was overseeing the construction of new defense platforms around Earth. But these were not just defensive weapons. They were mobile battle stations capable of operating far from home. "Colonel, the orbital shipyards report they can begin construction of the new fleet within the month," reported Major Sue Carter. "Good. And the recruitment numbers?" "Beyond all expectations, sir. Every space academy in the world has a waiting list. It seems like everyone wants to join the Earth Defense Force." Ben nodded with satisfaction. The victory over the Confederacy had awakened something in humanity, a desire to reach for the stars as equals, not servants. Back in the negotiation chamber, Ambassador Corian was making one final attempt to salvage some kind of agreement. "President Grant, surely you understand that Earth cannot stand alone in the galaxy. There are threats you cannot imagine. Pirates, slavers, empire builders, far worse than the Confederacy. Then we will deal with them as we dealt with you," Grant replied calmly. "You defeated us through luck and surprise. Next time will be different." Captain Luke Hayes, who had been invited to attend the negotiations as a hero of the battle, spoke. "Up, Ambassador. You still do not understand what happened here. You did not lose because of luck. You lost because you underestimated what free people will do to stay free." Corian turned his yellow gaze on Luke. "And what is that, Captain?" "Anything. Everything. We will sacrifice, we will adapt, we will fight with every weapon we can build and every ship we can fly, because we would rather die free than live as slaves." The alien ambassador stared at Luke for a long moment, then looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. What he saw there made him understand, finally, why his invasion had failed. "Very well," Corian said quietly. "The Confederacy will withdraw from your system, but this is not over. Word of what happened here will spread throughout the galaxy. Other powers will take notice of your world. Let them come," Grant said simply. "Earth's message will be the same for all of them." As Corian's fleet prepared to leave the solar system, something unprecedented was happening on worlds throughout the Confederacy. News of humanity's victory was spreading, and it was having an unexpected effect. On Cathari Prime, a warrior named Vex Thuron stood before his people and spoke words that had not been heard in 50 years. "The humans have shown us that the Confederacy can be defeated. Perhaps it is time to remember what it means to be free." On the industrial world of Yolan, workers began to whisper about independence. If primitive humans could stand against the Confederacy, what could the advanced Yolani accomplish? Similar stirrings of rebellion were beginning on dozens of member worlds. The Confederacy's greatest fear was coming true. Their empire of willing subjects was beginning to question their loyalty. 3 months after the battle, Captain Luke Hayes stood on the bridge of the UES Independence, humanity's first faster-than-light, capable warship. Dr. Sullivan's research had borne fruit faster than anyone had expected. "All systems ready for jump, Captain," reported his navigation officer. "Destination? The Proxima system, sir. Our new colony ships are already en route at slower speeds. We are to establish the first human outpost beyond Sol." Luke looked out at the stars that had once seemed impossibly distant. Now they were humanity's new frontier. "Jump when ready," he ordered. The stars stretched and twisted as the ship entered hyperspace, carrying the first humans to claim their place among the civilizations of the galaxy. On Earth, President Grant addressed the world for what would become known as the Independence Speech. "My fellow humans, 3 months ago we faced a choice between freedom and slavery. We chose freedom, and that choice has changed everything. Today our ships travel to distant stars not as subjects of an alien empire, but as free citizens of Earth." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "We have learned that the galaxy is full of wonders and dangers, of friends and enemies, but we have also learned something more important. We have learned that no force in the universe is stronger than the human spirit when it is united in defense of freedom." Admiral Morrison was now coordinating the Earth Defense Force, which had grown from a few dozen ships to over 100 vessels. New ships were being launched every week, and applications for crew positions came from every nation on Earth. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the Cathari system," reported her communications officer. "They claim to be an independent fleet requesting alliance with Earth." Kate smiled. The revolution was spreading just as they had hoped. "Put them through, and send a message to Captain Hayes at Proxima. Tell him he may have company soon." Dr. Amy Sullivan had been promoted to head of research and development for the entire Earth Defense Force. Her laboratories were working on projects that would have seemed like magic just months before. "Dr. Sullivan, the new shield technology, is ready for testing," reported her assistant. "And the improved weapons? Ahead of schedule. These new designs should be effective against any known Confederacy vessel." Amy nodded with satisfaction. Humanity was no longer playing catch-up with alien technology. They were beginning to surpass it. 6 months after the battle, Ambassador Corian received a report that made his scaled skin turn pale. The Confederacy was facing rebellions on 17 worlds. Their fleet was stretched thin trying to maintain control. And at the center of it all was Earth, the world that had started it all by refusing to kneel. He looked out at the stars and wondered if the Confederacy would survive the storm that humanity had unleashed. On Earth, children played games where they were brave space captains defending their homes from alien invaders. They did not know that their games were preparing them for a future where humanity would need every defender it could find. The galaxy had learned that humans could not be conquered. Now it would learn what humans could accomplish when they set their minds to freedom, exploration, and the defense of those who could not defend themselves. Earth's skies belonged to Earth, and soon, Earth's children would carry that message to every star in the galaxy.